Welcome, everyone, to a new episode of the Expect Miracles podcast. Today, we have a very special guest, Dr. Rusty Lavender. He is owner of Lavender Family Chiropractic in Sarasota, Florida, and also co-founder of UCC Near Me with Dr. Drew Hall and myself. I'm really excited to get him on the podcast here because first of all, I don't know his background story of upper cervical. I'm always interested in how people get into upper cervical, and he's very passionate about what he does. He's very good at what he does, and he's accomplished a lot in a relatively short time. So without further ado, please welcome Dr. Rusty Lavender. Rusty, how are you today?
Great. Thanks for having me. Super excited to be here.
Absolutely. So, Rusty, I really love getting into it with people on why they got into upper cervical. But before we do that, where are you from originally?
So I'm from a small town called Ringwood, Illinois. I grew up there. Great place to live. I love my growing up. It was great. We had four-wheelers. We had land.
Awesome.
Totally different than where
Yeah.
I'm at now. But yeah, it was a great place to grow up for sure.
Now, were you always under chiropractic care? What made you want to go to chiropractic school?
I mean, this is an innate story right here. It's super amazing just thinking back about it. But I was actually accepted into dental school, and that was the route I was going to go. I was going to go to Iowa and become a dentist, and then Palmer magically showed up at Whitewater, my undergrad college, and they started talking about chiropractic. I'm like, oh man, this is really interesting. I didn't want to take the DAT or the dentistry test either. Um, so, I went out to Palmer, I checked it out, and I was like, this is everything that I believe in. Like,
Yeah.
this is great. So I applied and I got accepted. And, the better part of the story didn't even happen there. It happened while I was at school. It totally changed my life. But that's how I ended up there. It was really an innate thing. And I don't know how I got so lucky to end up as a chiropractor, but when I was there, it just felt right. And something about it I just knew I was going to somehow change my life there.
Isn't it funny how those little idiosyncrasies happen in your life and when you're least expecting it and it shows up and he puts you on this path of what you're doing now?
For sure.
And so,
Yep.
Rusty, what was that amazing story that got you so hyped up about chiropractic?
Oh man, I'm almost embarrassed, but and not in a bad way, because chiropractic is amazing, and I totally believe that every human being, everybody with a nervous system should be seen by a chiropractor, whether it's upper cervical or not. I feel like if you have access to a chiropractor, you should be there. But I was in my first trimester at Palmer. I knew nothing about chiropractic. That's why I was so lucky that I ended up there, because I don't even know why I was there. And I was learning all of this other stuff that isn't really pure chiropractic. And I was doing extremities and all this other stuff. And I was having migraines. And I've had migraines since I was a little kid. I don't know if it was from the cord wrapped around my neck when I was birthed or if I took a knee to the head in a baseball game. There's a few different things that could have happened. But I had lived with migraines or headaches almost every single day of my life. So
Wow.
I thought it was normal.
Yeah.
And I ended up in my first trimester meeting this guy named, well, now he's Dr. Johnny Finney. And he's like, you have headaches? He's like, you should get adjusted. And I was so mad because I'd been being seen at the chiropractic clinics at Palmer and I was still having headaches. I didn't even know what I was seeing them for. Like, no one educated me. And that's the craziest thing, that I was at chiropractic college. I didn't even know why I was there.
Hmm.
And he's like, no, you need to get adjusted this way. And we didn't even have a table, an upper cervical table. So he had a dining room chair, it was wooden, and he does knee chest. And he was first trimester. And he's like, I'm going to adjust you. And I was like, how do you even know how to adjust? We're first trimester. And he adjusted me. And it gives me the chills just thinking about this. But um, I'll never forget the feeling of getting adjusted. And it was like somebody dumped a huge hot bucket of water over my head. And I started feeling like I was alive. And I actually went 3 days, and it's really sad to say this, but I went 3 days without a migraine or a headache. And
For the first
I was
time in
like,
your
holy,
life.
for the first time, right. And I was like, holy crap, I can do this. This is awesome. Uh, And obviously the story gets better and better, and I'm still under chiropractic care, and it's changed my life for the better. I feel like I'm a better human and I can express life. And but that adjustment on a wooden chair that really hurt and it sucked changed my life. So that's why I'm here.
That is pretty funny because I have the same exact story that led me to upper cervical, but in the completely wrong way. So I was my first term in chiropractic school, and this one girl in my class was like, "Oh, my mom's a chiropractor. I can adjust you. I've been doing adjustments my whole life." And at first term in chiropractic school, I was paying a good amount of money to go to the chiropractor like 10, 15 minutes away. And like, I was like, if this girl can adjust me, like chiropractic students don't have any money. So I was like, I'll save some money. So she lays me down on the floor. I get a rotary brake adjustment with your neck and everything cracked and popped, and a huge crack went off of my neck, and my suboccipital muscles started to swell up, and she cracked my neck, and she was like, "Oh my God, what was that?" I'm like, "What do you mean? What was that? You did the adjustment." And I just like felt a wrong shift of blood supply go places where they shouldn't. My right side of my neck swelled up, and I was like, holy shit, I can't ever get these adjustments anymore. How am I ever going to be a chiropractor? I don't want to ever do that to myself or do it to anybody else. And that actually, I think a week or two later, I was in Drew Hall's office getting upper
Wow.
cervical care. So, um, it's just pretty funny how even when you think things are going wrong, it leads you in the right direction anyway. But I just thought that was a
It's innate. It's how it
it's
goes.
that's I just thought it was a crazy story. And so Rusty, you get your first adjustment upper cervically. It changes your life. What's next for you?
I knew this is what I had to do. And I remember that day I went to the Palmer bookstore. I had my buddy pick me up a volume 18. He was a part of the fraternity, Delta Sigma Chi. So they print the books. So he had some sort of, I don't know, he was able to get me a volume 18 without a problem. And I started reading it, and I couldn't believe that what I was reading was chiropractic,
Mm-hmm.
because up to that point, everything that I was at least taught about chiropractic was totally different than what upper cervical was. And I was reading these stories about BJ Palmer and the BJ Palmer Clinic, and how he changed lives of people that were in diabetic coma and epilepsy and all these mental cases. And after that, I was like, okay, I'm in. This is
Mm-hmm.
what I'm made to do. I'm here to help people with more than just your typical chiropractic complaint, And I was finally starting to get my life back, and I was becoming a better student, and it's just amazing to watch the progression in my own life, and then now I get to see it in other people's life. But yeah, that's really what happened. I started diving into some of the philosophy and really getting the grounding of what's behind this whole chiropractic thing, and it's history from there. It's awesome.
Now, Rusty, did you start your own practice right out of chiropractic school?
Yeah, so I precepted with my mentor my 10th trimester in Michigan, Dr. Steven Simmons. Awesome man. I learned so much from him. And I mean, if you want to talk about being grounded in chiropractic and philosophy, he is the man to talk to. But I was with him for about 6 months, and my goal was to move to Florida and open my practice right away. And, with COVID and all that stuff, things kind of were crazy down here. It was hard to find a place to live. So once I found a place, I was off, and I found my clinic down here in 2022 in June. We opened, so we've been open about 2.5-ish years.
Dude,
Uh,
that takes a lot of balls to open up a practice right after school, fresh on the scene. And not a lot of people, have had the success that you've had in your first couple years of practice. You have an associate now, another of Neckwise Clinic in Utah, um, and UCC near me, and it's really incredible what you've been able to accomplish in such a short amount of time. What do you attribute that to?
wow, good support. I mean, I have great parents, great family. My fiance is awesome. My mentors, all these people, Dr. Drew Hall, yourself, you
Mm-hmm.
guys, all of the people that are doing this thing. that have helped me is why I'm here. You know, I wouldn't know anything about running a business or even chiropractic if it wasn't for the people that are doing it, like you yourself.
Yeah. And you keep kind of bringing up the point of just being very rooted and philosophical in what you do in chiropractic. And I think those doctors get the best results because they know exactly why they're doing it and they hold true to the principle of chiropractic. Holding is healing, less is more, being precise. Um, I think it's funny how you can go to a doctor and get the same exact adjustment with two completely different results. And I think the way you communicate the chiropractic message with patients and they see your firm belief, I think that gets much better results than somebody that's just doing the adjustment and doesn't know why they're doing it and they have a firm belief that it's going to work. I think those doctors get the best results and the patients also get the best results as well.
Yeah, maybe that's because the doctor's on the inside, not from the outside.
100%. Yeah. Anytime you hear a chiropractor saying, I did this, I did that, I got you better, I would sprint to that front door and get out of there because the chiropractor is not healing the person. The chiropractor is removing the interference so the body can heal itself. So beware of those chiropractors. um, now, Rusty, I met you for the first time, I think it was last November, for Dr. Alex Lee, who was also a guest on this podcast for the first time. And like a month before you came, my wife was like, you should do something with, like, you should have like a website or like, you should, start sending people to your own directory and everything. And I was like, yeah, you're right. You're right. I should probably do that. But I was just so busy. And then we're out to dinner for Alex's birthday. And you brought up something very similar of how you wanted to do that. And my wife was like kind of kicking me under the table, like this is kind of what we were talking about. And so we went home the next day, and we saw you the next day, and I was like, Rusty, like I think that's a great idea. I think we should definitely hop on that. And you've already went to Drew with that, and he kind of had the same impression I did. He wanted it, but he was kind of very busy as well. Um, and that's how uccnearme.com started, and it's I'm so proud to be a part of it. I'm so proud to have you as a business partner and Drew. And I think it's the first thing that's actually uniting the upper cervical profession because, as you know, there's 6 or 7 different upper cervical techniques, and everybody's kind of in their own little camp and think their technique's best. But with the website that we have created, it just goes to show you it doesn't really matter which technique you're under. If the doctor is true to the principle, true to clearing out the interference in the upper neck, we've had patients contact us from all over the world, and they're getting better with knee chest, Blair, Nuka, Atlas orthogonal, Epic, whatever the Nuka, whatever the technique may be, people are getting results. And I just think that is the most amazing thing ever. What are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts of why you wanted to start UCC near me?
Yeah, just to go back to having an amazing team. I mean, you, Drew, and also Vic.
Oh, Vic
Uh,
is Vic was the missing puzzle piece. Our website, SEO, back end. We couldn't have done it without him.
yeah, you guys are just rock stars. So it wouldn't be anything without you guys, and that's that's really why I wanted to do this thing. I knew I couldn't do it on my own,
Hmm.
and I thought about some of the most influential people around me. Well, you were crushing it on TikTok and all of your socials. Drew was doing the same. You guys have high energy, and I was like, let's take this to the world.
Hmm.
I just know that if I didn't find upper cervical, my life would be way different, right? And the
Hmm.
people around me's lives would be way different too. My patients or whoever on the street that I tell about upper cervical. So I just knew that something had to be done about it. And it just wasn't fair not to share this with the world. And that's ultimately BJ Palmer's message. I mean, he
Hmm.
was one of the first people to have a radio station west of the Mississippi, and he broadcasted this message to the world and didn't even care who was listening. And people like Dr. Mayo's wife came to his office. I mean, the most well-known surgeon in the world came to,
Presidents.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
he helped so many people. And I just knew that we had to do that, and figuring out, this is probably one of the best methods of reaching the most amount of people, because everybody's on social media today. I know it's weird to think that you found your doctor on social media, and I have tons of patients that say that,
Mm,
but if something can change your life, I don't care what it's found on.
hmm.
Yeah, that's why I want to do UCC near me, because I think it's only fair to the world to let them know that there's other options. That people that have been through the ringer, have tried everything, MRIs, CAT scans, drugs, surgery, whatever it is, that there's still hope, and that they can still find health, like true
Hmm.
health.
Do you feel like, because you're not too far removed from school, and neither am I really, but my school didn't really have any upper cervical presence at all. Do you feel like the field is growing and there's more upper cervical doctors coming out of school, or do you feel like it's kind of getting lost and it's staying stagnant?
That's a tough question, but I truly think that it's growing.
Hmm.
Just by going back, I just spoke at Palmer a few weeks ago, and people are fired up about upper cervical. They're getting knee chest back into Palmer. How amazing is that? And
Hmm.
not that it's a technique thing, but that's what BJ Palmer did, and it's not
Hmm.
even taught there. So, knee chest is going back to Palmer, and um, people are excited about it, and people are actually talking about upper cervical, whether it's the NUCA club or the AO club. And there's tons of people out there teaching upper cervical that are fired up about it, and organizations like the Blair Society and
Hmm.
NUCA, and all these people that are so strong. I truly believe that upper cervical is here to stay, and it's being taught, and it's not for everybody, right? I mean, that's like any technique or anything. Not 100% of people are going to do all of it, but I think it's alive and well for sure. And I'm
Absolutely.
super excited to see what the next generation brings, because they're going
Me
to have
too.
so many great ideas.
Absolutely. It's funny, you actually butt dialed me during that seminar speech you were given. I was like, I answered the phone. I was like, Rusty, Rusty, what's up? And then I heard you talking to chiropractic students, so I actually stayed on the phone for like 5 minutes just to hear you speak, and then I hung up.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's innate right there.
Absolutely. But it is very exciting. I do agree with you. I think the profession is growing, and with social media and all the new technology coming out, I think there's going to be a new wave and a huge opportunity for other upper cervical chiropractors. And I think myself and you and Drew we're all very excited to work with them as well, because it's really cool to see a new doc just graduate, and especially with social media you see them trying different new things and you can actually incorporate some of that to get some fresh new content. I think there's a massive opportunity for all the students out there now, because we're not even scraping the surface. There's still states, countries that don't have an upper cervical chiropractor. And I always tell students, like, you can open up wherever you want and just absolutely start crushing it like yourself if that's something you want to do.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I think we need to start getting. So how do you think we get new doctors into those areas that don't have any upper cervical care?
Hmm. That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that one. What I find is most people want to go back to their hometown, or a town that they visited on vacation that they love. I mean, that's why I'm in Sarasota. I grew
Hmm.
up coming down here. I have some family down here, but my immediate family isn't here. Um, I think the biggest way is, one, we got to produce more chiropractors.
Hmm.
Two, we got to teach them the upper cervical message, and that people are dying, needing
Hmm.
upper cervical care, and get them fired up about it, and coach them. I mean, we got to be the next set of mentors for these young docs.
Absolutely. And I'm so happy that there's actual like a marketing system that we have with UCC near me that works. Like I know you've tried a couple other upper cervical marketing techniques, and it was expensive and it gave you absolutely no return on your investment. And I think that's also another reason what probably inspired you with UCC near me as well. But I think it's such an incredible thing where a new doctor can come out of school, and one of the avenues where they can just get new patients is joining UCC near me with all the content being produced and people looking for upper cervical. I think it's one of the best ways new and existing doctors can start to get new patients into their office in such a short amount of time with such a minimal and monthly investment.
Yeah, I agree. I think all upper cervical chiropractors should be on UCC near me. And here's the reality behind it. The more people that are on the site are going to drive more leads to doctors.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not about us as the team of UCC near me, but once again, this is about upper cervical. And if you're not on the site and you're an upper cervical doc, say you're in Greece or you're in the Philippines or in Singapore or a different country, no one's going to find you when they go to our site.
Mm-hmm.
So for us to be able to pass you leads, or even Australia, I mean, I have sometimes in a day, I'll get 20 people commenting Australia.
I know.
And, and it's sad because it's hard to respond individually and find a doctor in their location. But if we have people over there that aren't on our site, they're missing out on helping dozens and dozens of hundreds or even thousands of people.
Absolutely.
So
If
I think everybody should be on UCC near me
if
for
there
sure.
if there's an upper cervical doctor in Australia or South Africa that is doing upper cervical, please contact us because there are hundreds and hundreds of requests every week from those two areas that desperately need upper cervical care.
India.
India,
If you want to
yes,
be a
India.
chiropractor in India, you will
Yeah.
crush it.
India is,
You won't need any other marketing
I
systems, I
know. India is a
promise.
hot spot. I'm really glad we got the Philippines on there too, because that was another one that was big. Um, but yeah, Rust, it's been an honor to get to know you over this past year. I'm thrilled to be working with you with UCC near me, and we're just starting. I mean, this is going to be a massive movement for upper cervical and getting people better. At the end of every show, Rusty, I like to ask all my guests, what is one piece of advice that has really resonated with you over the years that you would like to gift the audience? Could be absolutely anything.
I think honestly, it's one thing that I'm learning, and it's to stay humble. You
Mm,
never know what someone else's situation is around you, and it's all this stuff out here isn't even about you; it's about everybody else. So
mm.
that's really what I'm learning is, be a servant and be humble, and just meet people where they're at. So.
I love that. And Rusty, where can people find you on social media, book appointments in your clinics, things like that?
Yeah, so I'm in Sarasota, Florida, no, North Sarasota. You can find us on Instagram at Lavender Family SRQ, or you can look up Dr. Rusty Lavender. I'm also on TikTok, Dr. Rusty Lavender. You can do a Google search, YouTube, whatever. I'm on all of your socials. If you put my name in there, you'll find me.
Very cool. Rusty, awesome having you. I still want to get you and Drew on a live podcast episode one day in St. Augustine, so we'll make that happen. And I'm sure I'll be getting a text message from you or Drew in like an hour or two, so I'll talk to you real soon.